Next, I'm very happy to introduce number one, my friend, number two, a prior client, and number three, a doctor. And I forget what you're doctor of. We'll talk about that in just a second. But a person who really wants to help everybody understand what you need to do in order to become a millionaire, Dr. Yong Q. Talk to us a little bit about your background and what made you decide to write the book, 3 Steps to Become a Millionaire.
So as we talk about, I have a PhD in chemistry, so I've been just kind of working after I got my PhD for big companies, and as we know here, a job is not a guarantee, right? So I always have some sort of sense of kind of unsafe sort of feeling in terms of financial wise. So I study like personal investments and spend a lot of time on that, and finally came through what's the principle we're going to talk about in this book.
I think that's so interesting because you've probably always had good jobs, and my guess is you've never been without a job. I don't know why I'm projecting that on you, but that's what I think. And still, when you're working for someone else, getting a paycheck, you've always had that right in the back of your mind. What if something happens? And I would assume that your answer to that question was, I want to be in good shape even if something happens, and that was the motivation for writing the book.
Exactly. I basically want to be financially independent, right? Because the paycheck to paycheck, like you just say, it's not guaranteed. Second of all, it's not much, relatively speaking, as well.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so you'd break down the process of becoming a millionaire into 3 steps: your mentality, the methodology you use, and then also actionality, meaning get your butt going and do something. Just give us kind of an overview of the book. And then if you don't mind after that, I'd love to jump into the way you divide it up by the ages. And so if you're 18 years old, you need to do this. If you're 40 years old, you need to do that. And so I'd love to talk about that. But start with the 3 main steps to becoming a millionaire.
Sure. Like you already mentioned, the first step is really so-called the mentality, right? So everything to start with, you have to set a goal. You have to be confident. That's what you want. So like once you have a clear goal, then you will know what to do. So I think that the first step is really as simple as that. One thing is like sometimes you just keep thinking, you might forget about it, right? Some of the study from the psychology aspect was is once you set a goal, write it down.
Oh, yeah.
On a piece of paper, or nowadays everybody has a phone or computer, then kind of remind you that's what you set out to do. I think that will make it easier and crystallize the goal a little bit more clear that way.
Step 2 is methodology. Talk to us about methodology.
Yeah, so I mean, once we have a goal, we need to know how to do it, right?
Right.
So this is the sort of the study I spent all the time and figured out is actually fairly simple. The methodology really boils down to 2 aspects. So before I say, let me ask you this. Have you heard about so-called the rule of 72?
Yes, I have. And you're going to think this is really weird, but I knew what the rule of 72 was when I was a teenager. I used to read financial management books and all kinds of stuff, but there's a lot of people listening that probably don't know the rule of 72. So tell us what that is.
Yeah, so it's basically a simple mathematical way to estimate how many years will double your money based on the annual rate of return. For example, right? So if the annual rate of return is 10%, 72 divided by 10 will take roughly about 7.2 years to double your money. So the second step is really based on this rule of 72 is so-called the compounding or compounded growth, right? So think about, we just talked about it might be take either 10 years or 14 years, what the number of years to double. So $1 double into 2, and then the next double will be 2 to 4, and then 4 to 8, 8 to 16. So you know where we're going, right? This is the so-called the magic of the compounding growth, which really make big towards the end. Initially it seems to take a long time, but once you get there, it's compounding really fast.
Talk about step 3, actionality.
So step 3 is really once you set your goal as step number 1, and the step number 2, you know how to do it. you really have to start to do it in order to reach your goal. Also, we kind of divide into, in different age groups because of the rule of 72 or the compounding growth does take time. So the early you start, the much easier you get to the millionaire or multimillionaires.